Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go.
And let's go. It's the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show following the Roughriders' first loss of the season, falling 32-20 in Vancouver to the BC Lions. I'm Michael Ball, and I'm joined by a guy who's a multiple Grey Cup winner, has done a lot for our game, both as a coach and as a scout. He would be Craig Smith. Now, we're having a little bit of technical issues in terms of being able to see you, Craig, but I think we can hear you. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a great game. And before we get to that, I do want to give some of our sponsor plugs here. Let's start with Ward Tirecraft, 101 Dudney Avenue. Need tires or brakes? Go see Michael Barth over there, 101 Dudney Avenue. And you can ask about their payment plan so they can help you pay for the car expenses. We know things are going up, including maintaining your vehicles. Also, District Brewing Super Squeeze Seltzer in stores. They've got the mango lime, and I'm just about to open one and have a wet the whistle during the show, Craig, if you don't mind. This would be the passion fruit lime. I'm my own boss, so I guess I can do that. There's no, you couldn't do that back in the radio day, but I can sip one or two here. Also want to give a shout out. I know you go to Cravings. They're at 1832 Vic Avenue East. Mr. D Stats, Cocktails and Dreams and Cravings. They for the home games, if you don't go to a game and watching TV, they give away tickets to the next game if you're watching the game there. And if it's a road game like tonight and you're watching the game, they'd give away a Rough Rider jersey. But I know you love the omelets over there at Cravings, don't you?
No, it's the Eggs Benedict.
Oh, Eggs Benedict is what it is. Yeah. And they
yeah.
got great service over there with Jason and Mia. And I do appreciate them getting on board. We'll get to Payson Insurance Services in a minute. But Craig, another great CFL football game. Wasn't as thrilling at the end as some of the other games, in particular the game we saw yesterday between Winnipeg and Calgary. But first off, Craig Smith, just some of your overall thoughts on what you saw in this game.
Saskatchewan went into BC. It's a very, very tough place to go in and win and play. And, they showed well. They, like you said, they were in it right down to pretty much the end. And, that turnover, there's a turnover near the end. And that was it.
Yeah.
But, they went in there and the offense, Shea played relatively well. Their defense is just it's a championship defense. They went in and they did a very good job.
Yeah. That was a tough game, a hotly contested game. What's going to be interesting is how hurt Jamarcus Hardwick is, because obviously the Riders, they can ill afford to lose Lyman. They've lost Philip Blake already, and now the right tackle goes down, Jamarcus Hardwick. You saw Reed go off late in the game, but I think it was more to do with cramping than anything else. I'm not a doctor, but that's what I would say. But that could be a huge injury, Craig, going forward with Hardwick being out.
Well, it's not only his presence on the field, it's the presence off the field that Jamarcus brings. I was in Saskatchewan when he was here initially. I loved his enthusiasm. I was in BC or in Winnipeg when he was in Winnipeg, and I was just amazed at what this kid brought. And it's very, as solid as he is as a right tackle. He's so solid in the locker room, and the positives that he brings, it just helps the whole situation. And when he went down, oh my God, that's a tough injury, because he's worth his weight in gold for that.
Yeah. So, Craig, when a guy is hurt and he's not playing with the team, you've been on teams, obviously he's a scout, as a coach. Can he still be that leader off the field like a Trevor Harris, or do you kind of feel removed from the team when you're not putting your body on the line week in and week out with the guys?
Well, I think there is a certain amount of leadership a guy can bring, but, it's very difficult. I remember our Grey Cup year. I think it was our Grey Cup year. Ray Williams got hurt, and it was in Winnipeg. I think it was in Winnipeg. He hurt his knee, and he was a solid leader on our defense, but he kind of disappeared. Depending on what the injury is, he's going to be working. He's going to have to be doing things away from the team, and it's going to be more difficult, obviously, than when he's in meetings, when he's on the field, and things like that.
That was the year when I think Mike McCullough stepped up to replace Ray Williams, and they also had Diamond Ferry in there. So, that was, I believe that was the year that happened. 2013, right? If I'm not mistaken.
2013, yeah. And McCullough, fantastic player. A good old Canadian kid, played at SFU, St. FX, and, played for so many years here, and just an amazingly intelligent kid that could go in and play in that middle spot.
Well, it's only the second start for Shea Patterson. He got his career started in Vancouver, and then he went to Montreal. And it's he's had when I heard this on the broadcast today on TV, and he was in a room with Trevor Harris and Vernon Adams in Montreal, and in BC he was with Mike Riley and Nathan Rourke. Talk about learning through osmosis. Now he's back with Trevor Harris. Now I don't know what we got in Shea Patterson, but I like what I've seen. He started the game slow last week. Mark Mueller settled down, his quarterback. And then once again, Shea Patterson settled down after a bad first interception. He wasn't flashy, but he didn't hurt the team. And I love his athleticism.
Shea's going to be fine. Shea, you saw today, what he showed. He's that mobility. That's a key thing in our big field, our CFL game. And he used his mobility to get, first downs. He threw the ball well. He threw for 278 yards. And, think about this is a second string quarterback that's gone in and he's taken the reins and he's done a darn good job. And, he's not Trevor Harris, but, I don't think he would think that he is Trevor Harris. But I'll tell you something, there were some good things today from Shea Patterson for sure.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Craig, when we talk about Trevor Harris, we have to find that next guy, not just Trevor Harris, for the Zach Colaroses, for the McLeod Bethel Thompsons of the world, although some would say they already have a guy there. He just needs to develop more in Trey Ford. But I'll tell you what, this is what we need. So if you're a Rider fan, you got to be pretty happy, I would think, with what's shaping up here because, Shea Patterson hasn't hurt the team. He's made some throws and you can win some ball games with this guy. And that's exactly what you want from your quote unquote backup quarterback while he learns on the job. Because you can take all the first team reps you want, Craig, right? But until you're in a place that's loud against a good team, that's how you learn, right?
Well, he's played at Michigan, the Big House. I've been to the Big House, and it's an incredible place, 110,000 people. He's been, of course, that's good people on your side. Yeah, and he's been in the Big Ten, he's been in the SEC, he's played in big games. That kind of thing I don't think would bother him. But just learning the system, learning the offense, learning the intricacies of the Canadian game, it takes time. And he was here last year, which was great. Learn. Now it's time for him to step in, and he's done a good job. But with throwing the football, doing all the things that he needs to do as a Canadian Football League quarterback. And it's you never know. He could be the next guy. He showed some really good things today. People may say, "Oh, they lost." Well, you know what? They were awful close to winning that game, going into a hostile environment, and it's loud in there. I remember Kathy and I had season tickets in that place, and there'd be 10, 15,000 when we first started before Flutie got there, and it's loud with not very many people in there. Now with more people in there. It's a loud place, so it's he had that going against them. Went in there, on the road, and did such a good job like that. It's pretty good. You take a look at what VA did today. Look at some of the throws VA made, where you go scratch your head and go, "Holy cow!" But
we'll get into VA in a second. Somebody just asked, my buddy Kevin White just asked, "Hey, goes, why is the guest invisible?" Yeah, I'd love to have him up too. At least we got your audio. I have no idea why the video isn't working. When I went to log him in here in the service that I'm using, I could see his face. And as soon as I said, "Let's go, Craig," he went to black. But that's okay as long as we got his astute voice and football mind. Former CFL scout, coached in the league too, and has done a lot at the youth sports level. He's one of the guys that's helped build this league that we love, an exciting league, Craig Smith. Okay, Craig, I got some texts here. Shea played a pretty good game, Jerry says. Larry G says, "Let the Riders slide begin." Steve Kleinsausser, we'll get to his comment a little later on. And Kirkland said, "What a gentleman's win in BC." Not sure what that means, but the BC Lions do come up with a victory. They've won 5 in a row. Last time they did that, it was a July to August stretch in 2022. Let's talk about the maturation of players when you are a scout and you see this. It's not a blanket formula for every player. I get it, but we're watching Cody Fajardo, I think, mature into and develop into what we would say, quote unquote, is a franchise guy. Is he one of the elite quarterbacks we've ever seen play? No, but he's maturing. Let's talk about the maturation of a couple of guys on the Lions today. One of them, Vernon Adams Jr., who, yes, you're right, he can make throws that make you scratch your head, but he was also forcing things, I think, Craig, because he has a receiving core that's not at 100%, but he made some brilliant throws too, throwing some darts. Just talk about his maturation too, from what you see.
Don't get me wrong. All I meant was with him making a few throws. I mean, Shea did that, and he's only in his second year. VA made some throws that he would definitely like to have back. He threw for 451 yards.
Yeah,
and he obviously had a lot of help. If the Riders could cover McInnes, it may be a different deal, because he had 243 yards receiving. But VA, that's the thing, the maturation at quarterback. Not everybody is a Ricky Ray where you go in right and just bang, you get it. Or, a quarterback like that, his development, he's been around a while. Man, yeah. I remember I was still scouting, and I remember seeing him at college. First it was in one of the Washingtons, Eastern Washington. Yeah. And then he went over to Oregon. So I mean, it was the development with him. It's been a slow process, but you could take a look and see. I mean, that's the other thing is the protection. He was getting, not necessarily sacked, but the Riders are putting on some really good pressure. And, pressure, like Suter even said it. I don't always agree with Suter, but Suter mentioned today, with regards to the pressure, it doesn't always have to be a sack. You get that in and you're going to force a quarterback to throw a football that he wouldn't ordinarily make when his feet are planted and he's got an easy throwing lane and stuff like that. So give the Riders some credit on some of those throws that Adams made. But his development has been pretty darn good, and he's exciting to watch. He's one of the top quarterbacks in our league right now, and look at the weapons that he has. It's just incredible what they
and Keon Hatcher isn't even there yet. And we'll get to the other guy I want to mention here. We got this from Dylan Fiesel. Riders can't cover anything past 10 to 15 yards. The corners bite heavy on the curls, which leads to picks, but the linebackers and safeties look lost in coverage. And then Glenn Duke says that was the definition of a game of inches. They held in the game almost till the bitter end. They do have a lot of resiliency, a lot of fight. They're playing for their coach. So there's that to hang your hat on if you're a Rider fan. But let's talk about another guy that's matured. I called Rider football for the 2022-2023 season. And in 2022, Craig Smith, I started to see some things from Justin McInnes. I liked what I started to see from this guy. Yeah. But I don't know if the Riders really didn't go after him or he wanted to try. BC was really excited to get him. He goes there, and when a quarterback and a receiver get in the zone, it's unbelievable. But here's the beauty of it. If you're the BC Lions, and to maybe stick up a bit for the Riders secondary. On a few of those catches, the coverage was right there. He's just got strong hands and good body control.
I made notes throughout the whole game, and I don't believe how many times I went, McInnes plucked that coverage right there. I mean, that happened so often. I mean, the coverage was close, but he has just got that uncanny ability. The ball's in the air, and that's what you used to coach. When you're a receiver coach, it's your ball. It's your ball in the air. You get after it. Well, that kid does it. But, they mentioned on the broadcast that everybody and their dog in BC was giving McInnes a call to say, hey, come on over to BC. It's a great place here and all that. Yeah. And let me tell you, I lived in Vancouver for 17 years. It is a great place. But that, going in there with what they have, it was a pretty darn good move. But his maturation, definitely, he's been developing into one of the better receivers. I mean, you think about our league and the receivers that we have in this league, and People who knock our league and say, "Oh yeah, we take a look at some of these guys." You know, they may not.
Shit, Craig, the best receivers in the Canadian Football League are Canadians.
I know that.
Tyson Philpott. Jalen Philpott came on last night. The BC Lions have Javon Katoy, who didn't play, okay?
Yeah.
They got Justin McInnes. We've got that bull in a china shop, or the Riders do, in Kean Schaefer-Baker. And Sam Emelis is an unbelievable football player.
Absolutely. And then you throw in Nick Dembski and Wolotarski that are, you know, not quite as explosive as some of those guys, but they're damn good.
Barnes in Calgary too, another guy.
Barnes can make a play for you for sure. But yeah, I know that. I think I mentioned it on your show the last time. At that time, 4 of the top 10 were Canadian kids, and then I think it was at 9 of the top 20. Yeah. Now the Canadian kids are unreal, and you know, if you look at some of those kids, I would take any one of those kids to be on my team. You know, 89 Schaefer-Baker. It's incredible. It's incredible what that kid can do. He's got great hands, but try to tackle him. And guys are going after the football. Wrong. he just kept on breaking tackles while guys are trying to, you know, strip the football. But we got great receivers in Canada that have gone into the CFL.
We're going to take a break, Craig, to give our sponsors a plug. And when we come back, I want to pick your brain. You're writing notes. I want to pick your brain on what you saw from the Riders secondary, or maybe what you didn't see from the Riders secondary. We'll be back in one moment here on Ballsy on Our Balls Are Bigger on Ballsy Uncut. And we are brought to you by Peyton Insurance Services. Kevin's a former Regina Ram and Western Mustang defensive lineman. He's coached over at Miller. He works with families, small to medium businesses, helping to maximize their financial security through investments and insurance products. I've gone to him recently. Actually had the nurse come over and give me the life insurance blood work and everything like that, the old urine test. So I'm getting into it too. You know, Craig, you've been a guy that's been you've shown your tenacity and you've shown your strength because you've been battling cancer for a while here. And I'll tell you what, man, nobody wants to think about wills. Nobody wants to think about that kind of stuff, but life insurance and that stuff, so very important, as you would know.
A will is going to be something that Kathy and I are going to have to do soon, you know, and you know, everything was smooth sailing till I was 61 years old, and then shit hit the fan. And for the last 7 years, it's certainly been a journey. And you know, you just never know when you're done. And you know that's closer than you know than you think. But hey, you just one day at a time. That's all I've done. But yeah, a will is definitely something that we're gonna have to do.
And life insurance for sure. It took me a while to get a will, but I finally did. And I had a life insurance policy before, but not all life insurance policies are equal. Mine only goes to 65. So I said, I plan on living past 65. So I got to get some more. So I went to Kevin and he easily explains it. And you can bullshit football with him too in sports. So Rider fans would love that. This is Craig Smith joining me here. We don't have him video wise, not sure why, but he is here audio wise. I send out a link at all our social media pages here. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X. If you want to interact, you can click the link and you can come on the show either in video form or audio form like Craig. Just mute your camera, or you can just send us a chat and we'll try to address everything here that you send our way. William May said Riders did a good job stopping the run, but receivers were open too much. Yeah, that's right. And let's talk about that for a second. What did you see, or what didn't you see from the Riders secondary, Craig Smith?
Well, I didn't notice much on the field side. I'm not sure how many plays some of those guys made, but on the boundary side, I think that might be the two of the strongest boundary defensive backs in the league. Mm-hmm. You know, with Williams and Milligan. I mean, those kids are special, not only in pass coverage, but also in run defense. Now, that was one real strong spot for the Riders today was stopping the run. They couldn't run anything. I mean, it was just incredible how good that run game was. And, you know, that certainly helps with those linebackers. We've talked about the linebackers before. But, again, those defensive backs, I mean, they were They were close coverage. Close isn't good enough, but boy, they're so close to making those plays, but an outstanding receiver just beat them. And hey, that happens, right? Sometimes you just get by a better guy, but the defensive backfield, it I don't think it's a bad defensive backfield, and I think as time moves on, it'll get better. But that one side is solid.
So and absolutely agree. I love Deontay Williams last year when the Riders brought him in from Nebraska.
Yeah.
And Roland Milligan, I texted you during the game. I think Roland Milligan could make a case for him as the best defensive player in the league, period. But he's for sure the best defensive back.
Well, I'm not a guy that likes to say I get into that kind of thing where this guy's the best or that guy's the best, but I will say he's one of the best because dang, he's such a good solid player, and you got to love him, and the Rider fans got to be real happy that they have Milligan for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about how hot it gets in that place, because you saw a lot of guys cramping up in that football game. I think the roof was open, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
But they still had guys cramping up, it almost feels like you get shot with a gun when you get a cramp like that.
Oh God, I've had cramps before, and yeah, it's not a fun thing, especially when you get older and you get a cramp in bed. It's kind of a funny thing, but yeah, it was it can get. It was worse. Well, I've only been into the new dome, a couple times.
Yeah.
And the roof was always closed, so I've never been when it was open.
Yeah.
But that place can get pretty hot in there. There's no doubt about that.
Hey, I like BC Place. I'm one of those guys that likes it if a crowd's in there like that. When they were refurbishing that stadium for the 2010 Winter Olympics and all that stuff, they were playing at Empire Stadium, and I actually wish they would have kept that stadium for the BC Lions, to be quite honest with you.
When that was my first year with the Riders, and we went in that year, and Ken Miller said, "Craig, I want you to go to Vancouver. I want you to take a video recorder, and I want you to go through," because they wanted to see exactly how far the dressing rooms were, the intricacies of the new stadium. And I thought it was almost like, why don't you just keep this place? Because it was, except for when you sat in the press box, that was a pain in the ass. But as far as sight lines and everything like that, it was a pretty darn good stadium. But hey, it was a temporary thing, and BC Place. I always liked going to BC Place. You knew that you weren't going to get rained on, and it rains there. Let me tell you. Mm-hmm. And it was 1983 was the first Grey Cup I ever went to there, and I actually went to the very first game against Saskatchewan, and the Flame shot off the Flame, but it was but rain, right? I mean, it's tough, and it makes it better. But that turf was the shits.
Yeah, it was.
Now it's different. Now it's a different place, but it's a good place to go. I mean, you can take the SkyTrain in, and it's right downtown. After the game, you could go and have a pop or something like that, and have some fun.
So the BC Lions win today. They've now won 5 in a row. They're 5-1. The Saskatchewan Roughriders dropped their first game of the season. They're 4-1 and in second place, coming home to take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who all of a sudden have put together 2 wins, and they are 2-4. Also, Calgary's 2-3, so just ahead of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Edmonton in the basement. We'll get into those other games here in a minute, but we're talking about the Riders' 32-20 loss to the BC Lions. It's funny, back to VA and McInnes, when those two players, the quarterback and receiver like that, get in a rhythm, it's almost like you could throw a pass in a totally darked out room and you'd still know where the other guy was going to be. Some of those are almost indefensible.
Well, I mean, like I had said, a lot of times those guys are right on, and McInnes made the play. I mean, it was almost like, okay, drop back. Okay, he's going to throw to McInnes. Oh, completion, and just so incredible about how the chemistry that they have, and then the completions. There's a lot of good accurate throws by VA because they were right on the money, but guys were right there, couldn't make a play on them, but still.
And that's what I like talking about the quarterbacks here. Vernon Adams Jr. I remember Gary Echeverry, longtime CFL coach, when he was here, or just after he left, him and I were in conversation. He said, "You watch out for Vernon Adams Jr. He's going to be the quarterback on the Riders roster. That's going to be a star." And Eddie Steele was on here on Ballsy Uncut, the 3-time-a-week podcast I do, and he said, "I was on that team, and I didn't see the greatness in Vernon Adams yet." And the Riders make the trade for Charleston Hughes and get rid of Vernon Adams Jr. Hindsight being 2020, but it's easier to find a D lineman, even though he was great here, than it is a quarterback. But yeah, he's maturing into, and I had picked him to be the MOP at the start of the year, and I'm sticking to that. My prediction, Craig, was he's the MOP, he wins the Grey Cup, and then he gets traded a la Kerry Joseph when Nathan Rourke comes back.
Well, you never know. That could be possible, but Nathan, I know that he wants an opportunity down in the NFL, and the Giant. I mean, first off, going to Jacksonville was like suicide to me, and then New England. That would you thought that would be a place that he was going to get an opportunity with the quarterbacks that they had, but nope, not even a sniff. Now he's going to the Giants. Daniel Jones is not. He's up and down, mostly down. They got Tommy Cutlets, and there's another kid there too.
DeVito there.
Yeah, and there's another kid there too. But it's not going to be easy for him to make the roster. And you notice he's there. He's in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. He still has good ties. I think his mom goes to games there. I don't know.
Yeah, they do, and they've got a house there in BC. He bought a house, and he's a guy he was the very first guest I had on the show. He said money's not what's driving him. He wants to try to play at the top level, and if he does come back to the CFL, it won't be a max contract. This from Corey Huber. Riders are going to need to bring in some O-line help now. They're very thin, and they are thin. Ryan Sevier signing was great. He steps in at the left guard. I want to talk about a guy I ran into at the Canada Cup semifinal rounds at Leibel Field here, Logan Ferlin. He and I talked briefly. Love that kid. He's a versatile guy on that offensive line. We talk about some versatile players like a Derek Moncrief, like a Roland Milligan. This guy's versatile in the O-line. You can just he doesn't really like playing tackle, I don't think, but he can go out and bump out to right or left tackle like he did in today's game.
When you go from guard to tackle, it's like night and day, and it's a very difficult position to play. Whether he can do it or not, I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't studied the situation. But all I know is, and I've seen guys where they've gone. Patrick Neufeld, he played with us. He played left tackle for us, and he had some difficulty when he moved back into guard. Man, he's had a hell of a career. It's not easy. It's not it's a different ball of wax. You're up against way more athletic guys. You have to make sure that your feet have to be so good, the movement, all that. But it's a difficult thing. But you know what? He may just have to go out there and do it and see what develops, see what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see in the coming days. Riders taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here. They're wearing those obsidian green jerseys for the first time ever on that July 19th game against the Blue Bombers. One of 3 meetings this season. By the way, I hate that. I hate that playing the Bombers 3 times. That's the team we should only play twice. Once here, once there. Keep the tradition going. It waters it down to me, I feel.
Yeah, it's a little different, isn't it? But because that home and home is just so it's fun, and I've been on both sides of the teams. Yeah, it's really cool coming into here for the Labor Day Classic, and it's really cool when you're on the other side and you're going in to play the Banjo Bowl. It's such a great thing. It's great for the fans as long as there's no frickin' violence. But no
kidding.
That's the thing is you want that, and what a rivalry. It is as good a rivalry as you can get. So yeah, I know what you mean. The extra game, those two are just they're classics.
Yeah, they are, and the Bombers seem to be gaining some traction. We'll talk about them in a bit. I wanted to talk about there was a play by Emelis where he comes up. We're talking about the chemistry between VA and Justin McInnes. How about the chemistry between Shea Patterson and Sam Emelis, who last year I had said Somebody asked me who's the best Canadian receiver in the CFL. I said Sam Emilus. I like him better than Nick Dembski. I know Dembski can do a bunch of different things. They use him in a bunch of different ways.
Different receiver. Different type of receiver.
But let's talk about the explosiveness of Emilus. And then I want to talk about two things nobody mentioned in the broadcast in that play where he took it down the sidelines a long way early in the ball game on an RPO, and then Patterson hits him down the left sideline, and he runs down that sideline with his underrated speed. But just talk about what you like about Sam Emilus.
Well, he's a total package with regards to receiver. He's got good hands. I wouldn't call him a burner. It doesn't matter. I mean, he has enough speed to make plays and to get away from guys, and he's an extremely solid receiver in our league, and he's right up there too. I mean, it's awful nice to watch him work. And,
he reminds me, Craig, and you could speak to this as for our older fans out there. I'm trying to think somebody that's played in the last maybe 15 years, but when I watch him, I see James Murphy, the former Bomber receiver.
Yeah, little bigger than James. James was pretty special, but this kid. I mean, when you think of that, was so early. It was an excellent play. It was a throw short, and run long, and I think it went for 51 yards. It was a big play. That's exactly what they needed. It was a pass in the flat, and he just took it and bam, just headed downfield. Explosive play, and like Lapo says all the time, if you ever listen to his stuff, and they're looking for those explosive plays, and they got one right there.
Well, there you go, and that's on the stats, right? He doesn't have to throw it 90 yards downfield. No. He just has to get it to a guy in space and let him go. It was a great read by Patterson, and then he put a nice touch on the ball. But I love the blocking on that play from the young receiver Ajojo and AJ Ouellette. They sprung him down the sidelines, and they never mentioned that in the broadcast.
Yeah, Jojo, he had a couple of times where he had some pretty good blocks. A big kid, he certainly will help. There's no doubt, and he can make a play. He can make a catch. He's not the real fast guy. Doesn't matter. Again, here we go. He ran a horseshit time at the combine, but I don't give a shit. What does he do? Like I've said this before. When he crosses the line, how does he do it? And he can do that. But McInnes, again, just making a play, needing to do what he do, and at that time it's important, because it looked like at the start of the game it looked like, oh boy, they're going to dominate this game, BC, but no, they just kept on battling back and just kept on answering, and had a chance close to the end of the game.
Yeah. Okay. So and I want to make this a mention before we take another break here for one of our sponsor breaks. William May says, Picton's so reliable, but not used much. But he is a pro. He doesn't rock the boat. He does what he's supposed to do. He knows all the different positions. So I think, he's playing for his hometown team. And then I look across the field, and because of injuries today, game time decision, Javon Catoy, the tight end slash H-back for the Lions, a BC FC player, didn't play. But Kieran Passant, a former Miller Marauder Regina kid, they never mentioned in the broadcast, playing against the Riders. That's cool. And that's, the CFL is a second chance league for Americans, and it's a chance for Canadians who grew up wanting to be a professional athlete. I've said this many times, Craig. And this is what's funny about just sporting life. So in our country, you could play, the quarterback's the most important position, okay? Taylor Loeffler, for instance, was a great quarterback in BC in high school, but you're not going to make it. Brad Sinopoli, you're not going to make it as a quarterback. You got to go do something else. You got to do something else. Imagine if you told parents of a hockey goalie that you spend all this money, you go to all these camps, you do all this stuff, and you're good. But once you get to the pros, you'll never be able to play goalie. They would say, fuck that shit. We're not doing this. And that would be it. But nobody gets mad that way here in Canada, because you can't make $1 million as a quarterback in this league. You're not going to be a millionaire. So parents have this illusion that their kid's going to play professional hockey or professional this or that. And, it'll be my retirement package. Where I'm going with this is, you look at Passant. This is a kid that grew up in Regina, played for the Miller Marauders, probably thought one day he's going to play for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, or want to, and now he's playing against the Riders in a professional regular season game. I thought that's cool, and that's why the ratio is important.
Absolutely. And how about that Miller program? That's just incredible. I watched a lot. I watched every game actually of the Canada Cup. Not from start to finish, but I did watch every game. And you take a look at the roster for that Saskatchewan team, and so many different Miller, and they've won. How many times have they won? But a guy, Saskatchewan kid. I mean, you're going to go anywhere. It doesn't matter. Like Getzlaff, we drafted Getzlaff when I was in Hamilton, and then we made a trade and traded him back to his hometown. And, I bet you he was just doing cartwheels to be going back home to play for but so you never know what could happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if this kid develops, he may, down the road, he may head over here, but there's quite a lineup for Canadian receivers here, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got the opportunity. Katoy, a good friend of mine, coached the Rams when they won the national championship in junior football, and Katoy, actually, he played the year before, I think. Just an amazing specimen playing junior football. Now he's a pro, and he's doing some good things in BC and in his hometown. So yeah, it's just it's incredible what goes on in our league, and with the ratio. It's that's a cool thing about our league is the ratio, and I love it. I never want to see it go. I want the Canadian kids to have an opportunity to have hope when they go to the university. Okay, maybe I got a chance, maybe I don't, but at least it gives kids hope that they could be playing pro football.
By the way,
let me tell you,
mm-hmm.
going to a pro team is not that bad. I mean, there's some pretty darn good perks, other than playing under the lights. It's a pretty cool situation.
Yeah, it's a decent life, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it can be cutthroat, but you're playing a man's game for money.
It's a business.
Yep.
That's a business.
Yeah, for sure. We both have experienced that for sure. We're going to take another sponsor break and come back. I got some other things to get to you. I want to pick your brain about the offensive line and about finding quarterbacks. Those are the two areas that are the toughest to find anywhere in football. We'll get to that in a second. And thanks to our friends at Ward Tire Craft, Michael Barth and the gang, 101 Dudney Avenue, for your tire and brake needs. Ask about their payment plan, and they've got all types of tires for your car, truck, SUV, trailer, you name it. They can service all your mechanical needs as well. District Brewing, their Super Squeeze Seltzer, Mango Lime, and Passion Fruit Lime. If you're watching me, I'm sipping on there you see it there, Passion Fruit Lime, available in liquor stores. It's Saskatchewan liquor stores. Some new follower. Tomorrow I'll make this draw. So some new follower will get a pick 6 of this fruited seltzer, either mango lime or passion fruit lime, and 2 tickets to any CFL game courtesy of yours truly, Ballsy Uncut, and our Balls Are Bigger postgame show. So go to any of the platforms, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, or subscribe at YouTube at Ballsy Uncut is where you find it. And we will definitely hook you up if I choose your name. Tammy Bissett, where's Sheldon? I don't know. He hasn't called in. Taylor Mountain says, could have been worse. Kind of expected to lose. Seemed like we did a good job of bringing the pressure on defense. They certainly did. Our defensive line is killer, Craig Smith. That defensive line, Carney wasn't in the ball game, but wreaking havoc. Getting some pressure up there. They got a quarterback sack when they only rushed 3 and added a late blitzer. I think it was Avery. So if they can continue to do that, and then, eventually get the veteran quarterback, and if he can stay healthy, like the Riders have the makings of right in the mix for a championship this year.
Well, I said that at the start. I said to me, that's a championship defense. They've got so many different things, guys who can make plays in the secondary. Now, the guys that, on the other side that I had neglected to talk about, that Fields kid, I'll tell you something. That kid's got loads of athleticism. The kid can run. And Sales got beat on that go, which was a tough thing. But, I mean, he's been in our league, so they have a secondary that they can cover. I mean, they were McInnes. I mean, what can you say? But that front seven, those, and it's a different, like those defensive ends, it's not like those guys are super athletic, guys that we've seen in the league before, but they just make plays. And unbelievable how tough it was to run. And the other thing was, oh no, hey, can you plug? Oh shit, I'm running a low battery here.
Oh no! Well, hopefully you can
Yeah.
plug in. You stay here as long as you can, and I'll wrap up if you run out of battery, bro. It's not
Well, if I took out my earphones, could you still hear me?
Here.
You think?
Here.
Oh, him and his wife are figuring it out. I can still
Yeah.
hear you. Can you hear me?
Where do you want it?
I haven't taken it out yet. Just
Okay.
just the plug.
Okay, tell you what. You take a
Can you
break.
hear
Go
me?
plug in.
Can you hear me
no,
now?
Wait,
Yeah.
wait.
Hold on.
You
Hold
can't.
on a second here. Hold on here. So we'll just let him get that figured out here. Offensive line had a comment here about the offensive line. I guess Craig lost his. He'll dial back in. Somebody said William May said Shepley would be nice to come back to the Riders. I think that ship has sailed. Riders defense from Terry says Kukulum says the Riders defense has been so good against the run. They are, but they didn't have to really run the ball, the BC Lions. I guess to keep them honest, they shredded the Riders defense in the secondary. Hard to tell on TV from the short, from the condensed video. Like when you get that all 24 film, the coaches film, that would be a lot better. Here's the thing. The Riders have found offense or receivers. They found some good pieces on defense. CJ Avery Fields has replaced an injured Amari Henderson, who is back participating full-time. They've got a couple other great players that they found, obviously CJ Revis and those type of guys. But I will tell you, the problem they've had is with the offensive line. And it's not just a Rider problem. Like offensive linemen and quarterbacking, very hard to here we go. Got Craig Smith back. Let's see if we get him. And we got him in video. There you go. We got you in video. Hey, Craig, I was talking about the offensive line. And offensive linemen and quarterbacking, would you agree those are the two positions hardest to find?
Oh, it's very difficult. I'll tell you. Quarterback I've done it for so many years, and there's so many guys that I've brought up to the CFL and scratch my head while they're getting the road apple and the road map and the apple.
Yeah.
And they've had very much success in the NFL or in college, thinking the kid would come up and do very, very well. And, it's so difficult. There's so many different things to come up here and to learn first off a Canadian system with an extra defensive back. It's different. It's not like what they're used to, with regards to the defenses in the 4-down game. Mm-hmm. It's so difficult, but every time you can get lucky, and you're looking for the mobility. You're looking for a kid that obviously has the strength, the arm strength, but more than that, some really good feet. And then,
what do you think of Patterson's arm strength? Do you think he has enough arm strength?
I've never seen him live, and it's always tough when you're watching on television.
Yeah.
But he is. It looks like his arm strength is pretty good. Some of the throws he makes, some of the zip he has. He's thrown some deep balls. Like you take a look at that deep ball that he threw into the end zone that hit Stearns. I mean, that was a hell of a throw. I know it was a deep ball, so it seems like he's got a pretty decent arm. I wouldn't say it was a Dieter Brock type arm, but the kid he definitely has some arm.
Yeah. And so I talked this while you were getting reconnected. I got into this, and I want you to weigh in. So quarterback's hard to find. Offensive linemen are hard to find. I believe they're hard to find. You can correct me, but that's been the problem with this football team. And when they go in here, listen, when Trevor Harris is healthy, he's a specimen. But I think I said it before the season started when everybody asked me what the record would be. I said, realistically, I think 9-9. It's not, and I have all the time in the world. I don't know Hardrick that well. I knew him a little bit from the first time around here, but he's 34 years old, I believe. At a right tackle. You got a 38-year-old left guard in Philip Blake, going to be 39.
Yeah.
39 going 40. And you got Trevor Harris, who's 38 years old as a quarterback. Your you're playing with fire when you go into a season with 3 old birds like that, and all 3 guys are hurt.
It's a little different as far as offensive line is concerned. If you're talking about a receiver, or he has to really have, try not lose the speed and the quickness and stuff like that. Well, you take a look at Stanley Bryant. Stanley Bryant is up there in age, and he still moves pretty well, still does a pretty darn good job. So I think Hardrick, he could still be around for a couple more years.
Mm-hmm.
Blake, who knows? I mean, geez, Blake has been hurt, hey?
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing, when you keep on getting hurt. Does he have the will to keep on coming back? Hopefully he does. But it's a tough situation. Like, offensive line is so difficult in our league. You take a look at right throughout the league, so many teams go with tackles that are Americans. So now you got to find an American. First off, you got to find a guy that wants to come up here. Second off, you got to find a guy that fits into our league that's a little different. It's not like, 340 pounds. It's, because he's going to face some guys that have pretty lightning quick off the edge. So you're looking for that athletic kid that, that's what I like about the Reed kid. He's a good looking kid. He's got some good feet. He moves well. He's not sloppy. He looks athletic and all that kind of stuff. And it seems like he's doing a pretty good job. That's what you're looking for. Now, it ain't easy. That's for sure. I know that for a fact. And then here we go. Guards and centers. Okay, well, you're combing the Canadian colleges for that, and hopefully you can get a guy that can come in and do well. I mean, our Grey Cup team, we were very, very fortunate to draft Ben Heenan, and he went into right tackle, and he played darn well with Labatt and Best as guards, with Dominic as center. I mean, that's a pretty damn good situation,
Yeah.
So, you're looking and trying to get the best Canadian guys you can. And I always used to tell, when I was talking with Brendan or whatever, I said, every year we should be, drafting an offensive lineman, and, hopefully he'll develop, because you just never know, right? I mean, it's so critical. You have a $400,000 quarterback, and you want to protect them.
Well, and that's the thing. That would be my main criticism of Jeremy O'Day. He's found receivers. They found a couple of good American pieces, like I said, and CJ Avery, CJ Revis, maybe this Fields guy, but the offensive line has not been it hasn't been a strength of this team. There's some decent pieces, but it has not been a strength of this team since 2019. And that was a Chris Jones put together team. Yeah, O'Day had a hand in it, but that was a Chris Jones put together team. Jeremy O'Day is one of the best offensive linemen that's ever played for the Rough Riders. It boggles my mind that he cannot find a plethora. That's the one thing I think he'd be able to find.
Well, that's a head scratcher. There's no doubt about it. And as far as his play is concerned, I mean, he was incredible. He was a center that was extremely intelligent. He could play tackle. I mean, you watch film on him and his ability to move his feet. I mean, he was really, really good. Now, I'll stick up for him a little bit, because there were times when he brought guys in and they got hurt, and you just never knew if the proof was going to be in the pudding. But yeah, it's like one of the best guys that have been in our league, and he just hasn't developed and hasn't got. And it's not just him. I mean, they've got Paul Jones, who's one of the best guys that have roamed the States, and really haven't got the American kid that can come up here, that can has been here for a while now, right? So, and that doesn't make any sense either. So it's critical. But I thought this year, with that Reed kid and with Hardrick, with the free agent signing, I thought that's pretty good. But geez,
we'll see how long Hardrick's out for. Like I said, I don't have an update. He was on crutches, so
yeah. They carted him off, so that's not good.
Yeah, he was on crutches on the sideline, so I don't know exactly what's going on there. Brett Jones would have been a nice ad, and I really thought he would come here. And I know he was talking to the Riders last year, but he got into medical school, so he's picked that avenue, and that's something he always wanted to do. So yeah, Brett Jones, I thought he'd be here, but he's decided to go in a different direction. All right. So I want to talk about this. In special teams practice, you watch them teach how to block a punt, aim for, they have different gadgets. They got that, the ball tied to his stick and you dive on a mat, on like a high jump mat to block. I've never seen this in practice. Do we teach quarterbacks how to slide?
Geez, I've never seen that.
I've never seen it either. I've never seen
any practice that I've been to. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. And I just, every time I see those guys go down, I shudder to think, oh, look at the turf burn on that he's going to have in the shower. But on that note, I wanted to get your thoughts. My son and I were watching, and Williams took a late hit on Vernon Adams. I thought it was a tic-tacky call, but it was the right call. But just it's so tough to be a defender now.
Oh, it really is. I mean, you can't do anything. And, in a way, it's good for the game because you want to protect the players, you want safety and all that. But at the same time, I mean, it is football. It is a physical game. And these guys have come up and learned a certain way how to play. And then all of a sudden, there's certain things that you can't do. And, how about covering? How about a cover corner or whatever, coming up? I mean, it's so difficult to play this game now with regards to the rules. And I can understand, but it's tough. It's very tough.
We've seen a couple of cool, you got the Cameron Judges of the world and those type of players. But tonight in the BC Lion game, you saw Adrian Green, who's made a couple nice plays, an interception at safety from St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Patrice Rene had a great job on defense, couple plays, and on special teams as he hammered Mario Alford. The Winnipeg kid, Trey's brother, Terrell. He's had a couple interceptions this year. He did get burned for a touchdown in the game, but that's the life of a corner. We're starting to see an influx of Canadian. What I like is it used to be you just find your Canadians to fill on the D-line and the O-line as starters. But now we're starting to see receiver, we're seeing corner, we're seeing, safeties and that type of thing.
Well, before even safeties too. I mean, for years it would be a Canadian safety, and that's it. I think back Daryl Sampson. I don't know if you remember him. He played the halfback spot, and he was a Canadian. That was like, whoa, that's like a white rhinoceros, for God's sakes. I mean, it was just incredible. But I mean, these kids, like there's a lot of kids. Patrice Rene is one hell of a football player. That kid flies around. I don't know his testables, but I'll tell you something. That kid moves on the field. He makes plays. He's very, very impressive. And that's a good old Canadian kid.
Yeah.
And Ford, he's learning. I mean, the deal, like in the defensive backfield, and I've talked about this before, and the communication that these kids have to have. You don't get much of a preseason to work, and then all of a sudden you're playing, and now the communication between him and home, I mean, it's not an easy thing. He has got burnt. He has peaked in the backfield like every DB seems to do, but he has the tools to that catch up speed, that make up speed. He's certainly got, which could develop into a real solid field corner.
So what did you when you're watching this game and you're watching short yardage, what do you think of having your starting quarterbacks stay in? Like VA, I was shocked that BC let Prukop go because that's what he does. He's a third down specialist.
Yeah.
Jake Dolegala did some short yardage for the Riders, and the BC Lions could use him. They keep VA in there. And I know Patterson was the short yardage quarterback for the Riders, basically, before Trevor went down. How do you feel about having your starter in those short yardage situations? By the way, nice call by Maximic to throw a pass out of that third and short situation early in the game.
It sure was. That was incredible. Well, I mean, old school, I mean, the quarterbacks used to stay in all the time. I think I mentioned on the show before, Damon Allen used to be one of the better ones. It's different now. You got three quarterbacks, and if you got a guy that, look at the guy in Calgary, look at the guy in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
I mean, those guys are both
Strevler, Stevens,
yeah. And Prukop did a good job with Winnipeg last year with that. So it is kind of funny that I don't know what the heck happened there with Prukop, but that's the thing. And Dolegala had some trouble last year, with regards to big guy like that, can
Yeah.
he get so low? And that's what Damon used to do. He gets so low and go with the leg drive. But yeah, he had some trouble. He had some issues, fumble or whatever. So they're using Vernon. That's look what happened. Who is it at the goal line last year? Mitchell.
Yeah.
Bo Levi. I mean, he broke his leg. Doing a sneak.
So
Or, no, so it wasn't a kneel down.
Yeah, it was a kneel down. It was a kneel down. Yeah. So what'd you make of that third down gamble down? Now the Riders would pick it off and score a touchdown subsequently anyway, a few plays after that. But the sneak, would you have loved to have seen Ouellette get the ball there? That's why you were paying him the money, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you take a look at what happened today. I mean, he was a heck of a lot better. It's almost like the start of the year. Was he hurt?
I don't know.
Was there an issue?
It looks like he's hurt on every play after he gets up, but he looked good today for sure. That was his best game as a Rough Rider.
It sure was. He had, what is it, the 27-yard run?
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty impressive. And you got a bull, know, and it's a little different when you're taking a snap and you're turning around, or if you're going at a shotgun and you're handing the football. There's a lot of things could go wrong there, but still, I mean, if Ouellette can't make a yard, that's because he's such. Look at that run he made. He made a run, and he got hit, and he drove for how many more yards after that because of his strength. It's just incredible what that guy does in the weight room and how strong he is, and he's so thick.
Yeah. Hey, we got this from Troy Koser. My two faves, Ballsy and Smitty. You guys are kicking ass. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I love Craig.
Troy. Hopefully you're doing well.
He is. He is.
Yeah. Good. Excellent.
They didn't give him a great prognosis in cancer, and he's beating it back, and he's a pickleball guru now, and you're doing a great job too, man. And I love the fact you're staying up a little later to talk some ball with me, Craig. This from Rob Minhas. Lions let Saskatchewan hang around all game. Was closer than it should have been. Can we finally start giving VA his props? Well, you must have tuned in a little late, Rob, because we've been giving him his props. I picked him as the MOP at the start of the year, and he is not disappointed. He's on pace for 6,300 yards passing, which would be close to the all-time record set by Doug Flutie, who had 6,600 and change back in 91 with the BC Lions, oddly enough. Okay, I wanted to bring up a couple other things before we go to break here. Let me see what I had written down here. Let's talk about Mark Mueller. Talk about Mark Mueller and your thoughts on what he's done. I really like how he's game planned, and he's really, I think, partly you can only do so much. The player's got to execute, but he has got his quarterback back on track early in the game. Like after it started shaky, the first game went to the quick game. Not a great first throw from Shea Patterson. They were kind of stuck in the mud early. He goes with that short passing game, and that's all it takes. Get the quarterback in a rhythm. Now he's feeling it. Now he's got the moxie. It starts upstairs in the booth with Mark Mueller.
Well, think about the genetics that young man has. Think about the development that he has had. Started as a defensive coach with Rich Stubler, who was one of the better ones in our league. Learned about defense and how when you do that, I mean, you're learning, especially Stubler, with regard to what he used to run and his match coverage and all these different things. He would learn how to attack it. Then he moved over to the offensive side, coached running backs. Then he coached quarterbacks. Then he was an offensive coordinator. I mean, his training has led him to be a heck of an offensive coordinator, and it's just going to get better and better. I mean, it's an opportunity that he is, he's grabbed the ball and he's ran with it, and this is a pretty darn good offense. With what considering what has happened, especially with some of the injuries now with the offensive line. I mean, and taking a second string quarterback, and he threw for 279 yards. At 78 yards, I mean, that, that's pretty darn good. And it's only going to get better. Hey, go ahead.
We got a caller here. Let's get to Moj. Moj is driving, I think. Moj, are you there? Are you there, Moj?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I got you, bro. What's up?
What's up, Smitty? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing, man?
Good. Just finished the call and driving home. Figure I'd listen to Ballsy, see what he has to say about the game. And yeah, it was an interesting game today, wasn't it, fellas?
Absolutely. By the way, folks, this is because I have a Facebook friend that is that goes by Mojo, so I didn't look at it closely. This is the Moj, the play-by-play voice of the BC Lions. You know what? Let's get your thoughts. We've already said what we think. What did you think of the game?
You know, it's funny. It was a 15-point game, but to me, it seemed like a field goal game. It was just a battle all day long.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys picked up on it on the broadcast, but it was humid. It was hot.
Mm-hmm.
Guys were coming. Justin McInnes was cramping up like crazy. Guys were getting dinged up on both sides. You guys lose Hardrick. Hollins took a knock. It was a tough football game. And, you know, I looked at it, and Saskatchewan, true to form, man. I mean, they got a couple of turnovers that kind of really helped them. The Lions, I thought, played obviously pretty well offensively in terms of passing the ball. I think they left some points on the board. Anytime you kick 7 field goals, and the fact that Alexander Hollins probably had 2 or 3 drops, including that one down the sideline where he probably would have, you know, scored. But give Saskatchewan credit. They're aggressive on defense. Their run defense is outstanding. I mean, you know, they came into the league as the number 1 ranked run defense, and today they shut down the Lions running game. But it was a big game. I thought a real big play or a big key in that game was when the Lions got the ball back after the turnover. It was 22-20, and Vernon Adams ran it into the end zone to make it a 2-score game at 29-20. I thought that was a real big play of that game today.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, absolutely. And he's really matured. You can see that maturation, and you're getting the Justin McInnes I thought the Riders would get in 2023 because he was starting to come on in 2022. Mode, you've been around a long time. Can you remember 2 players, a quarterback and a receiver like this from a Lions standpoint that have had the chemistry at least early on in a season like this?
No, I mean, you know, and let's not forget about Alexander Hollins, who came into the game as the number 1 receiver in the CFL in terms of yardage. So, and he had an off day today, but man, those 2 guys, they're just like, I mean, what was it today? 13 targets, 13 catches.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was ridiculous, right? I mean, anything around him. The one catch that really impressed me today was that one where he's kind of running a skinny post or a slant inside, and he kind of reached back and caught the ball. Yeah. And I think it might have been Milligan that was on him, but he kind of reached back and behind him and made the catch. Like, his hands are so strong.
It's incredible.
Yeah, he's. It's funny. I mentioned to Julio Caravetta, our color analyst in the broadcast. I go, like, how'd Saskatchewan let him go? I mean, this guy's been lights out. He's only got better since his time in BC. And the other thing I'll throw in, Ballsy and Smitty, is the fact that this is Vernon Adams Jr.'s 3rd year with Jordan McSimic, right? And
yeah.
I think the big thing is when you get to the level where you're not working about foundation anymore, now you're focusing in on nuances and details, it takes your game to another level.
Yeah, that guy right there is the best play-by-play guy in the CFL. You have yourself a safe trip, man. Thanks for weighing in. Hey,
Smitty, how you feeling? You feeling good?
I'm feeling okay, but let me just say how much respect I have for you. A guy that played at UBC, he won the Tom Selleck lookalike contest way back in the day. And it's amazing the work that this guy has done. He goes to Super Bowls every year. I mean, he's a real good promoter of our league and you know, does a great job. And boy, I love this guy. Same with Julio. These guys are fantastic.
Yeah, they are.
Thank you very much, Craig. I'll put you on you'll become my agent for my next contract.
Oh, just send me a Christmas card. That's all.
Hey, Moj, Moj, he might have said you look like Tom Selleck, and that could be true. You look a lot closer to Kojak now.
Oh, no. Now it's Vin Diesel. I get Vin Diesel all the time. My daughter actually said when she was little, she said Shrek. So Vin Diesel or Shrek.
That's good. Take care. Safe trip home. I appreciate it, bro.
See you, Moj.
Take care, fellas. Have a good show.
Care. You. Thanks. He's a great voice for the league, and really love what they're doing in BC. I really love what they're doing in BC. Montreal has great ownership. Rider fans obviously traveled well here. Love to see the Riders have a solid crowd here against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We'll get into that chat in a second, Craig, and get to some of the other games that we've watched and one that's coming up tomorrow in Edmonton. He's Craig Smith. I'm Michael Ball, and we're going to give a shout out to one of our sponsors here. Let's hit it. Yeah, that's Mr. D's Stats, Cocktails, and Dreams and Cravings. And let's get to that there. Oh, did I just lose myself? What the hell is going on here? I don't know what. Oh, there I am. Okay. Yeah. Crazy, man. I'm trying to operate this thing by myself, big man, and we're figuring it out on the fly here. A one-man show.
You're doing fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, Craig, let's talk about what we saw yesterday in Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are not dead yet. We know it's a marathon, not a sprint. Two of my favorite players to watch in the CFL in terms of newbies played in that game. Ontario Wilson, the receiver out of, was he USC receiver? No, Florida State. Florida State Seminoles. Yeah. And so he looks like he's replacing Kenny Lawler. And then on the other side of things, you've got that Coatney guy. He is a building with feet. Talk about him, because we'll talk about both those guys, because Coatney wrecks games.
He is completely different than the normal defensive tackle of the Canadian Football League. Anybody that's, I can't remember anybody that's 340 some pounds that played tackle in the Canadian Football League. And he's been making plays. He's a wall. He reminds me of Jerry Ball way back, with the Detroit Lions. Just incredible, and we'll see how it goes as time goes on throughout an 18-game season. Yeah. But and as far as Ontario, I couldn't believe what I was seeing yesterday. Yeah. It was like drop back, okay, throw. Oh, he went to 80. Oh, he went to 80 again. He went to 80 again and again and again. I mean, it was just totally incredible. It was like I had friends over there in here for the Canada Cup. They have a grandson that's on Winnipeg, the Manitoba team, and they came over for the game. And I said, "Jesus, I think that Winnipeg's found another receiver that when it was shown out. I mean, it's a guy that could just slot right in. Kenny comes back. I mean, it's they're not back 100%, but I'll tell you something. They sure looked a lot better. Zach looked so much better. Threw the ball very well, but he had a guy that that he could go to, and I mean, it was they've got him, they got Wolotarski, they got Dembski. It's
that game had a little bit of everything, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah, Jake Mayer made some nice throws. He made some bad throws. Zach Klaus made some nice throws. He made some bad throws. We had a couple nice defensive plays. Ford had a pick. He got burned deep. You had the 57-yard field goal from Sergio Castillo. You had some gutsy calls. You had Dave Dickinson go for 3rd and 3 at about his 30-some yard line on that key drive to get them a touchdown. Philpott made a nice catch. And then you had Mike O'Shea go for 2 points at the end of the game to win the season series. He's thinking that far ahead, right? So that's some good coaching by both those guys.
That was incredible to me. I thought that was just totally incredible for him to do that, and then for them to do it, to make it. I mean, it's not a guaranteed play, and to do that, to win the season series, and that is critical. That was a critical game for Winnipeg to do that, because if they lost that game, lost the season series to Calgary, they're really behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. So now they've got a chance.
Yeah, they've got a chance.
They're coming in here against a Rider team that they don't need any help getting up for. The Roughriders, depending on that offensive line, it's going to be an intrigue. Like, I would have said the Riders would be a pretty healthy favorite on home turf, and I would still probably give them a little bit of the home love in here, early betting line. But the Bombers are finding their footing now, as you expect they would. This is going to be a tough game here for the Roughriders coming up.
Well, it will, but I'll be pissing off some of my friends in Winnipeg. I think that Saskatchewan will be victorious. Just the way they stop the run, it'll be very interesting how that offensive line deals with the defensive line and the front seven of Saskatchewan, and Brady running into that defensive line, because I mean, there's a good back that was in BC, and Stanback what did he run for?
Not much.
14 yards. And Oliveira, he's rolling now. So what's going to happen? It's like collisions, 2 Rams colliding. And, can Caleros do the same thing? It's a different now, and they're coming into Saskatchewan again. It's not easy. It's not an easy place to go in and win. So we'll see what develops there. It's going to be tough, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But I'll give the edge to Saskatchewan.
I don't disagree with you. I'll give a slight edge to Saskatchewan too, but a chance for Winnipeg to climb a little higher in the standings. On this broadcast, we give an offensive and a defensive star. It's the who showed big balls on offense and who showed big balls on defense. On offense, I am going to go with Justin McInnes, the former Saskatchewan Roughrider, had over 240 yards receiving. He was a menace all night. They couldn't cover him. He is really coming into his own, and that receiving core is going to get a lot scarier when Hatcher comes back. So I've got him as the big balls on offense. And on defense, there's a couple. Who would you give it to on defense? Either BC or Saskatchewan, who showed big balls on defense? Yeah, in your notes there.
Well, I think that we have to go to Milligan.
Yeah, that's what I'd go with too.
You know, I mean, there was a lot of guys that played solidly on defense with Saskatchewan, and BC was no slouch. You know, they had some, they've got some players that can go and play, but all in all, I can't pick. Well, Rene was solid, but I can't pick one guy that just blew me away and went, holy cow, this is incredible. It was just a solid all-round defensive outing by the BC Lions. But Milligan, he probably would be the guy that would probably, get my, a big interception, which was critical at that time. He had 5 tackles. I love Revis too. I mean, I think Revis is a hell of a player too.
You like all players, man. You just love football. I'll tell you this right now. My honorable mention though is a kicker, Brett Lothar. That guy, he missed the field goal, and some guys, when they miss field goals, they pout and they want nothing to do with making a tackle. If he misses the field goal, he goes down and makes sure he throws his body in there to make a tackle. He did. I think he rung his bell a little bit there on that play. And then a gutsy, I know last year he called one of these onside kicks himself where he dribbles it to himself. It opened the Labor Day Classic, if you remember. And that was a great heads-up play, and he boxes the Lions out like it's a rebound. So he's a weapon. And when I'm ranking kickers right now, by the way, Craig, and since they took those stupid chips out of the ball, here's how the kickers would line up for me, top 5 kickers. I got Lewis Ward at 5 from Ottawa. Okay. I got Brett Lothar at 4. Okay. Consistency has been good, but not automatic like we usually get from Brett Lothar. But I do like his tackling and what he brings to the team on and off the field. Number 3, I got Sergio Castillo. He had hit 15 in a row till missing one, but had a 57-yarder there last night. And he kicked that for his niece, I think, who has some health issues. Yeah, that's what he said.
She has leukemia too.
Oh, so, like you. Yeah. How are you doing, by the way? Are things okay?
Body sucks.
Yeah.
Mind is okay. Hopefully you can tell that my mind is okay.
Oh, your mind is awesome.
But, yeah, I've got so many issues body-wise. It's ridiculous, but hey, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Sean White, I think, is the second best kicker in this league. He kicked 4 field goals today. He's got like 36 or 37 in a row. What did he get today? Can you see the stats? Was it 4? It was 3 at the half. I think it was 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh man.
What? 5?
7 for 7? Is that right?
Okay. Well, they got it was 32-20. They got a touchdown from was it 7 field goals?
Well, that's what it says.
Well, don't trust the CFL stats. I know he's about 36 or 37 in a row. Well, can you see the scoring summary there for me? I don't have my phone handy. Can you see the scoring summary for me?
Yeah, let me
I'm trying to think who they had what they had for touchdowns. They had Vernon Adams scored a touchdown. So that's a 7-pointer. Let's go here. This is ballsy uncut. Our balls are bigger where we're rough around the edges here. I don't have the stats in front of me, and you can't really trust the CFL stats, to be honest with you.
They've been better though, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, compared to what? Compared
to last year.
Yeah. So I'm just seeing your riders. So Vernon Adams Jr. had a rushing touchdown. Justin McInnes had a touchdown. So that's 2 touchdowns. And what's 7 field goals?
Yes, he had 7 field goals.
Wow. So that would put him.
Holy cow.
That seems high, but 7 field goals.
I just counted. I went to the
the score.
The score. Yeah.
Okay, 7 field goals. So that gives him. I think he has 39 field goals on the year.
Wow.
In a row.
Wow.
I mean, sorry, going back to last year, 39 field goals. So I got him at 2, and at number 1, I got Rene Paredes. And the only reason I put Paredes number one, it could be a coin flip, is that Rene Paredes kicks mostly outside. He gets half his games inside, Sean White.
He's a hell of a kicker.
He is a hell of
a kicker. I remember when he was coming out, and we would go in Toronto, and they'd have like the combines, and it was ridiculous. They'd have the kicking inside this bubble, and it was very difficult for the kick. But I'll tell you something: when the ball came off his leg, his foot, it exploded. Like you could hear that sound. It was incredible. And he's just done a great job. He's had a hell of a career, and it's still going.
Hey, we're talking about Winnipeg. They made a personnel flaw. Personnel mistake getting rid of Janarian Grant. Did you see him?
Oh God,
he's on fire. He is the best returner in the league right now. I went just racked my brain. He's the best returner in the league. I put Dedman in Ottawa 2. Yeah. I put Alford at 3.
Yeah.
I put Leak in Edmonton, formerly of Toronto, at 4. And maybe Letcher in Montreal. It'd be between him and Terry Williams. But there's some great returners in this league. Like, that's a beaut. That I don't like the dribble kick. I think it takes zero talent to do that. But I do like the kicking rules. Like, you miss the field goal and you have a situation where Terry Williams brought it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know anything about the salary cap in Winnipeg and the money puzzle that they have to put together and all that kind of stuff. They had to pay Oliveri. I mean, Kenny's made some good money, and okay, so what did they, how could they keep Grant? It's almost a no-brainer. Why did you keep that guy? How huge special teams is in the CFL, and I'll tell you something, boy, it doesn't matter. I mean, you look at every other returner, and they are exciting, but this guy, even if there's guys around him, I mean, he's just so electric and so quick and so fast. And then when he gets into the open field, forget it. Like, he doesn't even have to be in the open field. He just accelerates. And I mean, it's just beautiful to watch.
Jason Fichtner says, "Hey, Craig, you're looking good, my friend." Jason runs Rider Prider fan page. And
I would love to go to Jason's for a barbecue. I mean, you see some of the stuff that he cooks up. It's incredible.
And he's got the above ground pool for his grandkids. He could invite us out there. I'm sure we could go.
Oh, I can't go anywhere these days, but he's got some good stuff.
Next time he's in town, if we can, we should hook up. We can bring some. He can barbecue something, bring it over to your place. I'm sure he can do that. Man. Hey, Ronan sends in the message, and this is what we talked about earlier. Shea is getting some serious on the job experience. We lost to a better team tonight with the number 2 quarterback still learning. We have so many offensive weapons. The Riders played well. A lot of injuries tonight. That's going to be a key. Speaking of injuries, Toronto beats Montreal.
Let's put that here. Toronto
beat Montreal, and Cody goes down with a hamstring injury. Listen, I get TSN has paid money for the rights. They've done a decent job covering the games. I do think we need somebody else to come in and make them up their game a little bit, because competition's good for everybody in any type of walk of life. But when you look at it here, yes, Thursday night, it's great to watch in the summer. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we get 4 games. You and I are football nerds. We love it. But football is not meant to be played in 4 days separation. It's not meant to be played. Even these Canada Cup games, they're young kids. It kind of drives me nuts. It's 2 days out and they're playing right away. I know it has to do with money, but football is not designed to do that. No. Jason Moss said that now his quarterback's down. Thank goodness they're on a bye week. My question to you in a long-winded way is, what do you think of short weeks? And should we seriously look at going doubleheader like Friday, or having 1 game Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, just gas the Thursday night game?
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea. Again, just like you had said, I'm sitting on my couch, my butt on the couch, and watch Friday or Thursday, or watch Friday, Saturday, Sunday, etc. These guys are playing. These guys, I mean, this is a crazy game, and it's so physical. People don't realize how physical it is. And for them to have only 4 days rest, I mean, think about the NFL where they have to play those stupid Thursday games. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to be doing that in the game of football. Mm-hmm. And it would be nice maybe to have 2 on Friday night doubleheader, Friday night football.
And Thursday's not attended very well.
It isn't.
But the argument is, well, the TV money and the TV money makes up for that. So that accounts for about 13 or 14,000 seats at a game. That's what the argument I've heard.
Yeah.
and I get it, but
just for the players, just for the health of the
yeah,
players.
because the product, even if so for TV, hey, it's good for TV, it's good for us football nerds sitting on the couch. But if the product is shitty because guys are hurt or not at 100, yourself, guys play on a Friday, let's say, they're not feeling good till a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And they're not ready to play, and they're not ready to play on a Wednesday from a Friday.
The bumps and bruises, like I played at a lower level football, and few days after the game, I mean, it wasn't easy. Now these guys are freaking top-notch athletes, and they're knocking the crap out of each other. And you just imagine what they have to go through every week, 18 weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a difficult thing, and they definitely should do something about it.
Mm-hmm. This from Blaine Armitage. I can't wait for the rematch, Riders versus the BC game, when we have our starting quarterback back playing in the league. Go Riders. That'll be interesting. But Shea Patterson didn't hurt the team. He had one bad interception, but I really liked his athleticism. And you know what?
Yeah.
No disrespect to Mason Fine, but he's more dynamic than Mason Fine or Jake Dolegala were here. And I'm not against Jake Dolegala. I thought he had some potential, but this guy's an athlete. He can run around. He can make plays. And he's proven the Riders have a chance to win when he's at quarterback.
Well, the thing I like is, the throws he's made. I mean, you know what it's like. And I've seen this. I've been in, 20 years. I've been watching this game since 1962. And I've seen quarterbacks come in. And they're starters, and they can't hit the broadside of a barn. Like, and you're going, what the hell? Why do you have this guy? Well, he has come in and he's made some throws. I mean, he has been accurate. I love the mobility. That's what you need in this league. With the 65-yard field, the ability to run for a first down. Look at what Cody's done. And I've always said that he's healthy now. Well, except for now. But what he's done with his legs, and I'll tell you, some of the first down runs he's made, when they needed him, I mean, it's critical. Shea Patterson could do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And he's just going to get better and better, with the reps and sitting in the meetings with Mark and, learning just watching film. Now who do we play? Now what, et cetera, going through. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But when Trevor comes back, I mean, it'll be so interesting. I don't have I don't have a horse in the race. I have friends all over, and I kind of cheer for friends.
Yeah.
The Saskatchewan, like if I was a Rider fan, I would get your ass out to these games. And I'm not selling anything. And I was released by the Riders. Obviously I wasn't very happy with them for a while, but I'll tell you something. They put together something really, really cool, and it starts with defense. The old defense wins championships. Well, you know what? It can win you a game. And they went into BC Place. They went on the road and had an outing like that where it was close right to the fourth quarter. So it's a good looking crew. They've got a lot of good things going. It seems like the coaching is pretty darn good. So they should be happy that they've got a team like this. It's fun. We talked about this before. You need hope. You got to have hope for your team, to possibly go to the Grey Cup. Every year I used to go and, is my team going to be in it? Well, maybe, but okay. I always had hope that it might not happen, but have hope that there's a possibility that the guys could go.
Hey, they're halfway home to 9 wins, and that's all you got to do is win 9 games to get into the playoffs.
They're in second place right now, and they're sitting pretty good. Hey,
we're going to comment about tomorrow's game to wrap up the week, but first I want your thoughts on 2 guys on the D-line. Now, I thought at times he was out of position last year, meaning that I thought he should have been D tackle instead of DN, but he lined up there today because of injury. Anthony Lanier II, and he was very active. You saw him a lot. And then Micah Johnson, the graybeard, when he can be on a pitch count because of another great young versatile guy like Miles Brown, he's still a force. He's a big boy. We talked about Coatney in Calgary, but Micah Johnson is the definition of a pro's pro.
He's incredible. I mean, he's just a guy that has been there. He's done that. He's so solid in that middle. Just brings he solidifies that defensive tackle. And let me tell you, I bet you his leadership skills in that room is top notch. And how about Lanier? I mean, Lanier made some just coming off the edge, quarterback hurries. He had one sack, pressure. And that's the thing about that front four, or, the pressure that they had. And they made Vernon uncomfortable. And when that happens to a quarterback, even Anthony Calvillo, guy who threw for most yards, and you do that to him, it's going to be difficult. So they did that. They pressured. And even though, he threw for 450 yards, and you're saying, how could that defense be good? Well, I'll tell you something. Cover McInnes a little. I don't know how you're going to do it, but that was quite the effort tonight by McInnes and VA.
Yeah. Okay. So lastly, the season, or the week number 6 in the CFL wraps up tomorrow, 5:00 kickoff Saskatchewan time, 7:00 Eastern, Edmonton against Ottawa. This is an absolute must win for Edmonton. They got Creef in there now for some leadership, Sean Oakman in there now from the Argos. They're at home against Ottawa. Drew Brown's been cleared to play, so no excuses on the Ottawa side. These two coaches were the guys who were under the most pressure coming in. Bob Dice has to win. He'd have to think to keep his job. Not this game, just this season. He has to get to the playoffs. And Chris Jones needs to start winning. These are 3 winnable games for Edmonton. Ottawa, and then Hamilton. I know there's no free space on the bingo card. Everybody in professional football, people say he's crappy. You're not crappy when you're a 1%er. But it's time for Edmonton to shit or get off the pot. They need to win, and they need to win now. I got Edmonton winning. I'm 2-1. Ballsy's best bets this week. I had Calgary beating Winnipeg, come up short. I got Edmonton winning over Ottawa. Who do you have tomorrow? What do you make of what Edmonton needs to get done here?
Well, it's certainly a toss-up. I mean, the adding Moncrief and adding Oakman, I think that's going to certainly help. As long as, they've been in there not very long. So are they going to be able to go in there and play at a high level within that system? But Ottawa's solid. They're not super outstanding, but they've got some players. Mm-hmm. It depends on Drew Brown. Drew has made some plays. I probably would lean towards Edmonton. McLeod Bethel Thompson, he's been criticized so often. Even when he led the league in passing that year, people were slamming the heck out of him. I mean, the guy can throw, the guy can make plays. Talk about a competitor. I mean, he is just incredible how he competes and gets things going. But Edmonton does it every week. You think, okay, well, against Saskatchewan, it looked like they were going to win. Mm-hmm. They blew it, and they've blown how many games now? And are they going to do it again? So a slight edge to Edmonton, but I've got friends in Ottawa and with Bobby and Corey McDermott and Brendan, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be something it's not going to be an easy game tomorrow, and I'll tell you, it'll be very, very interesting. Mm-hmm. Both teams have guys that can make plays. The receivers on both sides of the field, boy, there's some talent there. Yeah. Now, can the defense, is it going to be is the defense going to come out, and is it going to play very well?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Craig, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it, and Godspeed. I hope everything continues to turn up roses for you in your health, man. I'd love to have you on quite a few more times during the season, okay?
I appreciate you having me on. I love talking football, and good health to everybody out there.
All right, take care, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, that's Craig Smith, the former scout. He scouted for the Riders, scouted for the Blue Bombers. He scouted for Hamilton, Ottawa, BC, coached the Lions as an assistant coach when they won the Grey Cup in 2000, I believe, with Steve Barato as the head coach. So thanks to him for joining us. Thanks to each and every one of you who have checked out our Balls Are Bigger postgame show. We will have a postgame show after every Rider game. Tell all your friends so we can grow this thing one viewer, one listener at a time. It's shows like this that will give the necessary love to the CFL that it deserves. That's really what the league lacks, is promotion, because it's great football. This was a great game. The Calgary-Winnipeg game. Yeah, defense was shaky at times, but there were good plays, bad plays, gutsy calls. Toronto-Montreal, there were some excellent plays. It is the best form of football on the planet, in my opinion. and I won't back down from that. Want to thank my sponsors, Ward Tirecraft, 101 Dudney Avenue, for your tire and brake needs. Ask them about their payment plans. Mr. D, Stats, Cocktails and Dreams and Cravings, 1832 Vic Avenue East in Regina. They give tickets away at when every home game is on. So if you don't make it to a Rider home game, like the one coming up on the 19th, and you go watch it at Stats, they give tickets away to a draw in house to the next Rider home game. And if it's a road game like tonight and you're watching the game there, you would have a chance to win a Rough Rider jersey. Speaking of Rider jerseys, the Obsidian Green jersey is going to be worn by the Rough Riders July 19th when the Bombers come to town. Want to thank District Brewing, Super Squeeze Seltzer, Mango Lime, and this one here, Passion Fruit Lime, which I drank most of it during the show. Go check them out in Saskatchewan liquor stores. By the way, as it relates to that, I'm giving away a 6-pack or a pick 6 of these, either Mango Lime or this one, Passion Fruit Lime. I tend to like this one a little better, but they're both good. And 2 tickets to a CFL game anywhere in the country to one existing or new follower. And I'll make that draw tomorrow and post it on my social media pages. But you can sign up or make a comment about the show, at Ballsy Uncut on Instagram, X, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. A reminder, we have got the Ballsy Uncut show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 o'clock live at Ballsy Uncut on the platforms that you're watching right now or later in podcast form. This show will be up in podcast form a little later on as well for you to go back and check it out. I want to thank Gerhardt Studios for helping me out social media-wise and some technical stuff. Dean and Nicole over there in McCarra Street. And Peyton Insurance Services. Kevin's a former Ram, Western Mustang, and he's a D-line coach at Miller. Works with families and small to medium businesses, helping to maximize their financial security through investments and insurance products. Also consults on employee benefit plans and helps with your retirement, estate, and succession planning. Thanks to Kevin for getting on board. He makes those kind of difficult life conversations more enjoyable, and that's not easy skill to have. He does a great job of it. Go check him out. Payson Financial or Payson Insurance Services. Thanks to him for getting on board. That is going to do it for my time. Once again, I appreciate each and every one of you for checking us out. Tomorrow, Ottawa and Edmonton, and then we'll break everything down with some great guests next week right here on Ballsy Uncut. This has been another edition of Our Balls Are Bigger, the post-game show. Final score from BC, the Lions 32, the Riders 20, suffering their first defeat of the season. There now are no unbeaten teams in the CFL. The West looks like this: BC, Saskatchewan, Calgary, Winnipeg, and Edmonton, who have to win that game. It's a must-win for Edmonton. They cannot go 0-5 with Winnipeg picking up some steam now, and Calgary, 2 wins ahead of them. They have to beat Ottawa. It's a must-win for Chris Jones, Jason Shivers, and the gang. Then out east, we got Montreal suffering a loss. They're on a bye week. Toronto comes back to the win column. They're second. Ottawa's hanging around there. This would be a big win for them to get them kind of level with the Argonauts in the east and give them some breathing room on the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who are winless on the season and currently on their bye week this week. So once again, that'll do it for my time, and I will talk to you on Monday